This
Ah,
conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rajni Jain on behalf of agricultureinformation.com. I call to this online meeting. Please take a moment to review the guidelines for this online meeting posted in the chat window. I now request the moderator, Mr. Lakshmipati, to introduce the speaker and start the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rajini. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Lakshmipati. I'll be moderating this meeting. Agricultureinformation.com likes to welcome to this meeting Dr. Amarender Reddy, a principal scientist of agricultural economics at ICAR-Central Research Institute of Dryland Agriculture, Hyderabad, Telangana. Dr. Amarender Reddy will be speaking on the topic schemes for value addition and food processing industry development. I now request the speaker to begin.
thank you, sir.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, all participants, for inviting me to talk on the value addition and food processing sector. Uh, I will be because the time is short. Probably I will give a short, overview of what is value addition, how we can select some of the very attractive value addition opportunities in the food processing sector. Then we can come later on what are the schemes and all. But because the schemes vary from state to state, Tamil Nadu there are some different schemes are there, whereas Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, there are different schemes. Rather, probably we can start with how we can analyze the opportunities in the food processing sector or value addition sector. What is basically value addition, or value chain analysis? These concepts I will discuss. So value chain approach is a holistic approach because now we are generally farmers what they are doing, just they are producing and they are looking for markets. When they are not getting the right price, then they complain that there are some demand issues, there is no demand, something like that. But it's a holistic issue, holistic approach, basically starting from the consumers, what consumers needs, what are the consumer tastes, how, because the incomes are increasing across all the households, middle class is increasing, two income households are increasing. So with this changing dynamics of household economy, how the consumption pattern is changing, the because with these income increases, we are seeing lot of demand for ready to eat or semi cooked products, or even eating outside, ready food delivery type of thing. Lot of changes are taking place nowadays. So all these relating to food processing or food industry only, instead of focusing on individual stages, because a farmer thinks about only production, rice or wheat, whatever the cotton, just he will think about only production side, ignoring all other stages. All stages of production process are covered in this value chain analysis, so that when you produce something, when you invest something in a large money, like coffee plantations, tea plantations, any other plantation or any other fruits, vegetables, you have to invest a lot of money. So if your production is not matched with the what consumers demanded, then all your entire this production will be, or investment will be wasted. So in this thing, whole value chain from consumers, starting from consumers, what they want, what are their tastes and preferences, and what is their preferences over next 5 years, 10 years, something like that. Because, for example, government of India is now promoting palm oil in a bigger way. Palm oil, first 3 years there is no crop. After 3 years, up to maybe up to 30 years, there will be some crop coming up every year, production coming up. But if there is no the demand after 5 years or 10 years, if there is a lot of imports, cheaper imports, these are some of the uncertainties also we will look into. Starting point of value chain promotion is the market, what we are telling, what is the market situation right now, what will be the market situation after 2 3 years, and again 5 years. For plantation crop, for example, after 10 years or 20 years, we can project what will be the demand. Accordingly we will adjust our production patterns. Agricultural value chains covers seed systems, input supply, as well as production, processing, marketing, and consumption. All these aspects will be covered. Many other projects in the field of development cooperation follow this approach. Anyway, you see the World Bank projects or Asian Development Bank projects, or even nowadays even Government of India projects, they are looking for this type of analysis before starting any big investment in any state. So, what is the definition of value chain? Basically, value chain is an economic system that can describe as a sequence of related business activities. Sequence of business activities from provision of specific inputs for the particular product to primary production, transformation. Transformation means, for example, oil seeds or palm oil bunch that you transform into edible oil, and marketing up to the final sale of the particular product to the consumers. The set of enterprises, because one sequence of business activities, these business activities done by some particular enterprises. Farmer is an entrepreneur, then miller is an entrepreneur, then the trader is an entrepreneur, then the retailer is an entrepreneur. So the set of enterprises under operators that perform these functions, the producer, processor, traders, distributor of a particular product. This is the whole supply chain. Participants or actors. The business model. For example, you need to have a separate business model for example, growing palm oil. You need to have a different model. Growing specialized tea leaves, premium tea leaves to export into some, for example, the London market. You need a specialized business model. Who is your end buyer? We will get. Whereas tea leaves in India may cost me 100 rupees or 150 or 300 rupees or even 500 rupees. But those London market people, they will give you some 20,000 per kg. So when they are paying some 20,000 per kg, they want a very specialized, very quality oriented products. So we have to in a point. So depending on our market, whether export market, it's in the export market, whether it's a London market or whether it is Bihar, whether it's Bangladesh, the adjacent countries. Accordingly, we can plan our business model, and if you are selling at 20,000 rupees per kg, then you have to have a very all these process are precision farming type of thing, and branding, cleaning, all the quality assessment, food safety standards, traceability. Traceability means you have to trace the particular farm where these tea plantations are grown, whether they are using pesticides, fertilizers, etc. All these documented, and those documents will be given to those importers in foreign countries. So that type of arrangements are required when so a simple business model for a farmer, a rice farmer, is just is he grow rice, he grow paddy, then he will sell it to millers. That is a very simple model. But if you want to sell a product to the London tea market, you have to do a lot of things. You have to have some contract farming. All this considered as a business model. Means what is that particular technology and a particular way of coordinating production and marketing between several enterprises, that is business model. So how this there are we are talking about supply chain. Generally supply chain is nothing but how efficiently you are supplying that particular product to the end user. That's the efficiency only, irrespective of whether that is demanded or not. That is not your concern. Supply chain means you are efficiently producing and selling to at least cost to some end products. But in a value terms, value chain, how much value we are adding, how much value we are creating to consumers. For example, same tea brand can be sold within domestic markets at 5,000 rupees or something like that. But if you put it in a good quality branding, etc., the same tea per kg you can sell in international markets 20,000 rupees per bag, something like that. So that means you are creating a value of 20,000 minus here 5,000 means about 15,000 value you are creating. Maybe 5,000 is your extra cost, 10,000 additional value you are creating. So this is a value chain allocation of price paid by consumers to primary producers. In the value chain, you start with the consumers. What consumers demanded, how much they will pay, what are their preferences, what is the price premium they pay for each type or each quality of the tea brand or coffee brand or whatever it is. So this is the difference between the value chain and supply chain. And key features of the value chain, taking a market system perspective, as I told, it's not an individual farmer, it's a systems approach. In systems, everybody is there, farmer is there, processor or miller is there, trader is there, retailer is there, wholesaler is there, even consumer is there. This is the whole system. Driving the growth through end markets means what is the end market is your focus, whether they are demanded or not, whether your product whatever you are producing is matching with the demand, current demand or not. Then it is not matching, then you have to adjust your production. Fostering competitiveness through improved interfirm linkages. Interform linkages means, as I mentioned, because if you want to export to tea bags to some premium market in London, you have to have some export contract, you have to have some all this contract forming, like what is the grade of leaves, what is the size of leaves, what is the color, what is the flavor. All these things are predetermined, so that is called improving interform linkages. Whereas if you want to sell a paddy variety to the government at MSP, it, you don't need it. You just produce and sell to the miller. So that type of interform linkages are required. Upgrading at various levels is very much important. Facilitating improved competitiveness at every stage, you have to produce more efficiently, you have to increase your quality at every stage. Production stage there are some quality parameters, milling stage there are some quality parameters, retailers stage or branding stage there are some quality parameters. You have to match all this with the international standards, then only you are able to export. Proper focus of value chain analysis. Nowadays, government of India is emphasizing, for example, millets, ready to cook millets or some other millet items. They need a right product market. So proper why the government all always any government program, Tamil Nadu or in all India, even World Bank or ADB, Asian Development Bank, they want, for example, why we are giving 1,000 crores of budget to, for example, this value chain development of millets in India. So whether this 1,000 rupees are contributing to reducing poverty of the farmers, that means when we are intervening in the farmers, farmers have to be poor before. Means a paddy, a rich or sugarcane farmer, if you intervene, government will not intervene in a rich sugarcane belt. But if they are generally intervene in the millets belt or dryland areas or reed fed areas where the most of the poor are living, and millets, oil seeds, pulses where the most of the poor farmers are growing these crops, they will intervene. The other way is that, for example, millets or even pulses, oil seeds, they are mostly consumed. Millets mainly consumed by the poor farmers, poor consumers. So either you have to intervene your value chain in terms of poor consumers or poor end users, means consumers, poor farmers and poor consumers. You have to target like that, so that you are whatever the project you are having maximum impact in reducing poverty. These type of projects only will be approved generally by the government of India or a state government or any other international. government. Greatest chance for the inclusion of the poor is important. Value chain has poverty alleviation potential if the major source of livelihood for the poor generate employment like cotton. Although it is not directly contributing into poor farmers, it may contribute in terms of employment. It generates a lot of employment for women, so offers business opportunities for poor entrepreneurs or at least deliver products consumed by poor people. So simple concept, what is the technical structure, sequence of related business activities which I mentioned. Business activity here is input supply. Input supply means seed, fertilizer, all these pesticides. Production, it is done by the farmers. Uh, Processing units by millers. Marketing, transport, wholesale or export, these are all the activities. Consumption and raw code, whatever it is. So input supply is mentioned here. And so definition of set of entrepreneurs, enterprises, as I mentioned, input supply is done by agro dealers, extension officers, NGOs. Production of small to large scale farmers, agri-business enterprises. Processing, farmers, enterprises, individuals. Marketing, sometimes farmers, individual traders and companies. Consumption, rural, urban households, restaurants, hospitals, all this. So there are consumption is having very diversified rural versus urban consumers. Restaurants, these are all institutional buyers, we can call. Restaurants, they need bulk commodities. You can easily, for example, if for a, you are growing, for example, poultry type of thing, deshi poultry. Deshi poultry means indigenous poultry varieties. They are highly demanded nowadays, both in especially in urban areas, even restaurants, hospital, especially restaurants. So how you can map entire thing? For example, you see here our main thing is the here blue blue shading area. The primary producers, our main people. Then it comes the small scale processor units. Again, there are intermediate traders here and large scale processors here and wholesalers, final traders, final producers. These are all the main activity players here. But you see, and what they are doing, their market is this yellow lines. Local markets, niche markets, institutional customers, domestic mass markets, exports market, different type of markets. Local markets for small things, niche markets also small, and institutional customers, as I mentioned, restaurants, hotels, establishments, domestic mass market like PDS system also, and export markets. So these are all the main activities, main activity people involved. But what government is not to do, the business and extension services. For example, business and extension, first we can see the financial services by provided by the banks or money lenders, whomever it is, they are helping these both farmers and also these processors. Input supply like fertilizers and market information, upgrading standards, and facilitating linkages. All these are all services provided by the service agents like government or private agencies or seed dealers, whomever. The above, this is the main, middle is the main activities, the below is the service providers. The above is very important. What are the institutional framework you are having in your particular villages or particular state or whatever? Consumer trends, what is the consumer trend, whether the meat supply, meat dairy products demand is increasing or not, whether the, for example, now there is a lot of change, demand for paddy and wheat is reducing, not almost stagnant. Whereas demand for poultry, fisheries, meat, egg, milk products are increasing. So that is the trend which is going in. Business regulation. What are the business regulations? What are the food safety standards? So how much dirt particles are allowed in the this sale of cotton, etc. Official corruption. This you see, corruption is also one of the institutional mechanisms. Sometimes, if you want to sell to PDS, you have to give something. immediately they will do action or not. No, contract enforcement, whether you can engage in contract farming like palm oil or mango tree, mango orchard. You have to have some arrangements with the harvester or even end traders, something like that. Tariffs, structures, taxes, etc. So all this macro environment, the laws, regulations, and business service providers are very essential to increase the efficiency of all the value chain who are playing in the middle. So, as I mentioned, what is business model for a particular commercial product governing structure? Business model is nothing but a governing structure. You are having production and processing. In between, there are no spot or market transaction. You see, if you are having one or two uh, one or two mm, you are having one or two bags of quintals of red gram or wheat, huh? Then you can just spot market by going to village market or just a minute, just a minute. Okay, okay. Smart market, spot market, market transactions. So if you are having 2 3 bags of quintals of red gram or chilies, whatever, you just go to spot market immediately. You sell in the village market, or you sell in the APMC market, or you sell in the retailers, whatever. But you are having some specialized to tea or coffee or any other palm oil type of thing, you need to have a contract. So that is the difference between a spot market and contracts. And vertical integration. For example, if you want to sell into the London market, you need to have some vertical integration. For example, all these big tea plantations, Tata Tea and all, they are having all the vertical integration. They are having their own farms, they are having their own processing plants, they are having their own branding, etc. And they are having their own exporters, like that. So that is called entire value chain vertical integration of a particular tea business. So what is your business model? Your complexity of the business model increases as you you are becoming more specialized, like tea, coffee, or but if you are producing very simple commodities, you can easily sell in the spot market. That is called business model. Which business model is required for your particular production? Governance structure, type of linkage, it depends on the quality and sophistication of the final product. So as I mentioned, uncoordinated transactions. Generally, we lose rice, lose wheat, or lose atta, or lose mangoes. All these spot market, uncoordinated transactions, efficient in local markets, in markets where products with few quality triads. Quality is not that much very important, but more stable linkages wherever final consumer asks for high and consistent quality. For example, as I mentioned, London tea consumers, they need very high and consistent quality. For that, you need to have a vertical integration, contract farming type of things, very specialized products you have to sell. Economic structure, economic parameters of interest. So basically, overall value added generated by the chain and share of different stages. So overall revenue, how much value addition or how much total sales, and share of each. Farmers, what is the share? Millers, what is the share? Traders, what is the share? And retailer, what is the share of the consumer price? That is called share of each player. Production and marketing costs and opportunity costs at each stage of the chain, and the cost structure along the value chain. It also depends the cost structure where the major cost is incurring. For example, wheat, there is no milling cost, only the farmer will incur highest cost. But for example, rice, paddy, you have to invariably process it, convert paddy into rice. That means lot of cost will incur in the processing or milling stage also. Revenues Net income means total revenue, gross revenue minus cost. And what are the margins? This is the revenue, uh, is the total revenue minus cost is the marketing margin at each stage. Performance of operations, the utility of productive capacity. If you are having milling. So nowadays, earlier used to have only dal mill or rice mill type of thing, because a separate mill means, the rice mill is active only in 2 to 3 months in a year, or even 3 to 4 months, rabi season and kharif season, that's all. Out of 12 months, 3 4 months it will work, the remaining months it will not work. Dal mill also similarly, only 2 3 months it will work, remaining 8 months it will remain idle. So nowadays, to overcome that type of things, nowadays people want multi-grain dal mills. Multi-grain mills means this mill will be active throughout year, whether it is a paddy, whether it is dal, whether it is a wheat, they can easily mill it. So all the grains whatever it is coming, they can easily adjust. So to use maximum months, for example, out of 12 months, 8 months, these multi-grain mills will be active. So that type of technological changes are very much required. Economic structures. Economic parameters of interest, as I mentioned, revenue means price into value. For example, price, you are no 2000 per quintal paddy. And volume means how many quintals you sold, 50 quintal, 100 quintal, something like that. That is price into volume is the revenue. And net income is revenues, whatever money you received minus variable costs and fixed costs. What are the variable costs? Variable costs are fertilizer, pesticides, etc. Fixed costs are investment costs in terms of borewells, etc. So that is net income. Gross marketing margin is selling price minus buying price. So you marketing margin means I am a middleman. I purchased from farmers 2000 rupees per quintal, but I sold at 2200 per quintal. My margin is 200 rupees. 2200 minus 2000 is 200 rupees per quintal. Break even point is how much quantity have to sold to cover all my costs. That is break even point. To cover, for example, you have invested in a seed processing plant, you have invested in a food processing plant, mango processing plant, or a tomato ketchup plant. So you spend some 1,50,000, something like that. So how many years you will recover that 1,50,000? That is the number of years, maybe 3 years. Break even point is 2 years or 3 years. Or in terms of quantity also we can tell. So simple processing, economic structure, value addition, simple thing. I am telling cost of intermediate product, like tomatoes, something like that. It is 1 rupee. Tomato ketchup, preparation of tomato ketchup. The 1 rupee tomatoes we buy and some other ingredients, sugar, etc. That is zero point 0.5. So 1.5 is your cost. This is the total cost, and you are selling at 2 rupees. This is the margin. This is the value addition of this tomato ketchup industry. Similarly, this same thing, the primary producer, value added captured by the input providers. So this is the input providers. These are the input. These are all the inputs. So the here, what is the primary producer? He is selling to product markets, traders. So here it is he is selling this much. He is purchasing the intermediate product. He is purchasing this much, and he is using this much input, other inputs. Then he is selling at this total amount. So this is the value addition here. Again, this fellow, this is the intermediate product, this area, and he added some inputs. Then he sold at this much total amount. So this is the value addition. Similarly, so it is also similar type of thing. the distribution of value or revenue along the chain. So, for example, a retail price is 50,000, 50,000 retail price, and milk, it is a milk retail price is 50,000, for example, and milk producer farmers received 13,000. Farmers cooperative sold at 16 rupees, 16,000, and wholesalers sold at 17,000, and dairy plant, because here lot of expenses is taking place, 56% share in the total 50,000, 50 rupees we can say. If you in the 50 rupees, farmer receives 13 rupees, only 26% share, and most of the money is received by the dairy plant. They are doing processing all these things, so they are receiving 50 to 56%. Farmer cooperative only 6% margin, wholesaler buyers 2% margin, this dairy plant 56%, traders 2%, retailers 8%. So this is how the price is distributed among the milk producer, cooperative, wholesalers, dairy plant, trader, and retailers. Out of this, consumer paid about 50 rupees. So again, for example, a farmer is producing some, mm, some commodity. The average cost of that, for example, you are having some 50 farmers or 100 farmers in a particular village, the average cost incurred is 1.3 rupees per fruit or per vegetable per kg, for example, and the cost varying between 2 rupees maximum. For example, out of these 100 farmers, like I am, my cost is per unit 2 rupees, and some other my neighbor farmers cost is 0.94 rupees. So this much variation is there in at farmers level. So ultimately our goal is you have to reduce this cost per unit from 2 rupees to 0.94 rupees, so that you will be more efficient. Again, similarly, you see here this cooperative side, this cooperative. Here the per unit cost is maximum is 2.58 per unit. The least cost is 1.47 unit, whereas the average cost is 1.9 rupees per unit. To make it whole value chain efficient, this high cost farmers, high cost cooperatives, they have to reduce their cost per unit from 2.58 to 1.47. That is the scope. Whereas, for example, if you see here, the smoked catfish, here there is no much scope. The high cost and low cost, there is no much scope, like that. Where there is a scope of reducing your cost, you have to reduce your cost, so that entire value chain will be more efficient. Again, one of the easiest way to reduce the cost is reducing the intermediaries. Many intermediaries means many everybody can take some some pie to their survival livelihood. For example, here in this left side, traditional value chain of vegetables, farmers, village merchant, middleman, wholesaler, commission agent, Raita Bazaar, retailer, and consumer. So many people are there. Whereas modern value chain, we have eliminated some middlemen and put a wholesale supplier, collection center, distribution center, like farmer producer companies. They are having their own collection center. They are having their own distribution centers. So in this way, you reduce middlemen. So when you are reducing middlemen means you are reducing costs, and ultimately here what you see, the how much farmers are receiving out of consumers price. Here the first chain 19.8% are received by the farmers, in the second chain 22.75% are received by the farmers. So cost analysis used to identify cost drivers across different stages of the chain. And so cost, you have to do cost analysis, identify cost drivers where you can reduce the cost in the value chain, and hence potential for cost reduction for typical firms operating in the same stage. Assess the position of the value chain vis-a-vis the competitors. What are the competitors? How they are doing? Why? How they are doing at least cost, with less cost, and compare unit cost with those of the competitors. Benchmarking, this is called benchmarking. Cost structure, cost analysis. Cost can be, as I mentioned, variable costs, fertilizers, pesticides are variable costs, and fixed costs, as I mentioned, the borewell is the fixed cost. So examples of variables cost we have already mentioned. This is also similar type of value chain analysis. Each chain, for example, rice production, you are having different cost components. Then again, you see how and what is the possibility of reducing cost of land preparation, seeding, transportation, and fertilizer and harvesting type of thing. And in case of no post harvest, drying cost, milling cost, packaging cost, how you can reduce all these things. Meso and macro environment. Macro level, as I mentioned already, the macro level policies of the government, for which commodities government is having some encouragement, like nowadays palm oil is having a lot of encouragement, some fruits and vegetables they are having a lot of encouragement, incentive schemes, subsidy schemes, micro irrigation schemes. There are so many schemes are there. Meso level means direct relationship with the value chain operators in the local value chain, whether you are having rice mills nearby, whether you are having oil mills nearby, or you can set up what is the market size. All these things you have to examine before venturing into any food processing unit or any other agricultural activities. So value chain systematically map value chain. Basically, when you want to establish some food processing units, you have to systematically map all these from farmers to the end consumers. What will be the demand for next 5 years? All these things you have to map. Characteristics of the actors, profit, cost structures, all these things you have to map. Identify the distribution of benefits across the actors. As I mentioned, how much farmer is gaining, how much miller is gaining, how much retailer is gaining, what is the profit margin at each node. Well, examine the role of upgrading the within the value chain, where you can add value, whether you cleaning, grinding, branding, labeling, or retailing. So, where is the scope for more investment and getting more returns in the value chain is very very important. Highlights the role of government, institutional arrangements, what is the subsidies, improved capabilities of the value chain distribution and increase value. So these are all the where you can add value and where is the government support is there. You have to match these things. Again, collection of information is very very important. You have to collect information relating to the value chain. Already existing lot of information is will be available already with the existing millers or millers association or oil processing association. You are having lot of information. What are the information gaps? Generally you don't know the gap in the margins at each stage. You have to collect those, and detailed information you put in a visual network type of thing, as I mentioned. And interdependency between actors and processors. Look beyond the where you can really add more value, or where you can see the more markets like export markets, or even exporting to northern Indian parts, something like that. So guiding questions are different. What are the different processes? Who are the actors? Flow of products, volume of products. Basically, it's also very important. If it is a more volume, more quantity, then definitely your business will become more profitable. Where does the product originate and where does it end goes? How does value change from the starting point to the end point? Types of relationships and linkages, whether strong linkages or weaker linkages, business services. Sufficient information are simple. So all this information means it should not be very complicated. You put a big paper and draw everything. It's very simple. A series of thematic maps. One page is one big page. Big is enough. Apart from the first map has picked up. Start by drawing the basic map. Then add on. Basic map means what are the actors, what are the processes, what are the average costs. Then add highest and lowest cost. Then see where is the scope for improvement. So I don't want to go into details. I think we have reached probably just 5 minutes. I will close. So in this is the sorghum value chain. Nowadays producer consumers, that I know with a lot of middlemen it's going to consumers. From producers a lot of middlemen you are going, but instead of this you can reduce, you can add farmers federation one side and poultry farmers federation on the other side, or remove all the intermediaries. This will become more efficient, and it will facilitate bulk purchase, bulk production, bulk purchase, bulk selling activities, and reduce margin costs. So this is also again, this you can always collaborate with the research and development activities, and also government. So again, as I mentioned, the Sorghum Farmers Federation, Research Center, Research Center for Poultry, Poultry Feed Manufacturers Associations. These are all the associations. When you group this nowadays, Government of India is also encouraging farmer producer companies. When you group the farmers, definitely you can remove some middlemen, and you can keep margins with farmers themselves. So that is the whole thing. So I so there are some of the government scheme I don't want to explain here, but nowadays there are two three ministries. Ministry of Agriculture is giving a lot of incentives. Ministry of Food Processing Industries also giving a lot of investment, and your own state governments also giving a lot of investment, a lot of incentives, like these things. I think I will stop here because time limit is 40 minutes. I am already crossed. Thank you, madam. Thank you for your kind,
Thank
invitation,
you.
and uh,
Thank you, Dr. Amarender Reddy, for an excellent talk. I now request the participants to ask their questions. We'll also be posting the speaker's contact details in the chat window. Now, over to the participants for questions if there are any. Any questions, participants? Any questions? Okay, as I see, no questions are there. Looks like your talk has given all complete, clarified answers for the participants. No comment, no questions right now. There any questions in the future? They will contact the speaker. They will contact you, speaker. Now, Mr. Poonam.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask one little question.
Yeah, please.
We are a startup called Organic Amrit, and we're trying to really target certified organic segment only.
hmm,
At this juncture, of course, it's just kind of mushrooming everywhere. However, there is still not a very nice uh, clued in system from top to bottom,
hmm,
basically farm to fork. We were looking at really, sort of understanding and studying multiple options there are for value adding in those segments also, and as well as the primary processing units as well.
hmm, hmm.
Uh, so, if Mr. Reddy, if you'd be okay, can I connect with you over the email? Because
Okay,
I'm an agriculture graduate from Bangalore. I've been to
okay,
CFTRI, and I know you guys have pretty much solutions to all such ailments. And
yes,
I'd just like to get to know the detailed project reports of the costing, the production, and the kind of probable projected earnings from these kind of projects, right? Because you'll have all of that, right?
okay,
So
right, right. Thank
help
you, thank
us kind of, yeah, that'll
you.
help us put together
Hmm,
things. We are
hmm,
Mumbai based right now and
yes,
currently being incubated by IIM Bangalore and Nagpur.
okay.
We started with 10,500 ventures. Today we are top 40, but we are
Hmm,
still beginning, just beginning the journey. And
hmm,
people like you can really guide us and really, mentor us along
yes.
the way. I'll connect with you on the email
Thank you,
regarding
thank you.
this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. And any other questions, please? Yes, Mr. Any other questions? Okay. Okay. No questions. That is all we have for the day. I like to thank the speaker, Dr. Amarendra Reddy, on behalf of Agriculture Information, for taking his time to speak with us. I now request the organizer of the meeting, Ms. Rajini Jain, to please close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshmipati. I'd like to thank the speaker, Mr. Amarender Reddy, for taking the time to talk with us. I also like to thank all the participants for their time. The meeting will now be closed.
Thank you. Thank you.